What's up? This Edwin Langit with another treat detector for you with a little bit of football for you. So, like in the 80s, it was all about sex, right? And then people used to trip about sex. So, like when I was a little baby, when I was in Georgia, that was a movie too. So, it turns out like it would be like about Marnie if she hooked up with Edwin because she's supposed to be Bonham, but the real Bonham is Benica Kazi, right? My wife. So remember they had the purple people eaters, right? I used to just crack up because I wanted to say this to Genevieve. I was like, "You ever heard of the purple people eaters?" Like, like she's supposed to be Marnie, right? Genevieve, and she went to People's, right, and eating her pussy, right? The purple people eaters. But they started saying hella jokes, and then they started going, "Can't handle it," right? And then Whoopin and Richie used to just always like talk to each other at Ricky's garage, and they used to always do "Can't handle it," right? Because either me can't handle it, not having a girlfriend, or the jokes they had about Ricky can't handle it, right? So they used to have like a lot of stuff about when people used to raise their kids, like me, James, and Jerica can't handle it, or Jacob or JP. They said can't handle it. Even with the uncles and cousins, they said can't handle it. And then they used to do like for sure stuff that was for sure. And I would always go about it like you better be sure about my 40, and you better be sure about my weed sack, and you better be sure about the shit. When they used to say be sure about the shit, it's like the shit better not be fake or people would get in trouble. And then with the weed too, if it wasn't chronic, like they would be some funk sometimes. And then there was a lot of game coming around, like codes in football, where they would do James's codes, like to know how James is doing. They would text or go online. What there's a lot of stuff: the TV, the internet, magazines, and like to find about Hillary, find about Faith, and then they would find out about James. So James would be the Gators, the Florida Gators, because he had that Gator toy. And then they would do Gators, and then they would do a Gator uh, football game, and the commercial would show Pizza Hut. So he would like Pizza Hut that week, and then Ruby Tuesdays would be like that's where my dad was at, and the commercials where they do that, and then they had a text. So they used to text and dice too. So they had the two snake eyes would be, do you want to watch G.I. Joe? And then 7 would be chilling with the Christians for heaven, or 7-11. 11 would be Mike, like 3-11s would be strike 3 with Michael Umang, and then 3-5s would be 5-5-5, Edwin, Billy, and Mike Apalato. So we couldn't cop a sack from Mel or Marlon because we only had 15. I know Mike's his own brother, but we used to go 5-5-5, 3-3. And they used to text with the dice too on how much spade someone got. So they go $3 would be 5 for me, close rounded off to the nearest number 5, and then 2 would be 1. So we would have $6, and then they would go roll the dice. I don't know if they fixed it or anything, but they used to text with it. There would be $6, and then roll 3, right? So in 3 hours, if you come up, call me up, Marlon, right? So they would do that. Then there's 7-11, and then that's that, and then they had 4-4. 4-4 was Gonzaga, so like they would be like, I don't know, you should just cut out from Dylan's or cut out from Mike's, because it's Gonzaga, and 4-4 would be Mike Sinead too. So, and then 3-3 was Zay, Anthony's brother-in-law Zay. They used to do that, and then they started texting. So I went to school and texting ever since I was probably like about in fourth grade. They used to do this shit. It was hella funny, right? They at first it was like 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old. Then they started doing the people that were captured, nigga. There would be one person chilling with me, and then 6 people at Uncle Jesse's house captured. And then they used to also text, like, I would, like Genevieve, right? Genevieve Torres. And then they would go 10. She had to be home by 10, so there was no point of going to Billy's or Mike's, calling other people. They would do 10. And then they used to also do the age of the person. So it would be Mike, Josh, Billy, or Gino, or Uncle Jesse. And they would only be 10 years old, really. So you can't ask Uncle Jesse for a ride to the store because he's only 10. So when they had that, you couldn't ask a 10-year-old for a ride, right? But when they rolled 3 and they said Dylan, Mike, or Billy, or Michael Umong or Ricky was 3, nigga, the 3-year-old people drive to the store. So they look about like 21 or 40 years old, but they're really 3 years old. And then they're already adult. And they drive to the store. There used to be hella funny ass shit about Nike commercials, which would be watch out for Nike because Michael Umong got some new Nike shoes and that could just flip your whole life. He used to always say, suck it to me. And I found that hella funny because you remember when you guys like started fucking with me as the Godfather, it used to be about DX and Stone Cold. First it was DX and Stone Cold versus The Rock. And then you also did Niners versus the Raiders till they did Giants, which we know Giants. And so I started talking shit in football with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which would be the crest, fucking bucking you with a gat. And they did Giants, like fucking, I have a giant crew, and then giant penis, or giant pussy, or giant head, or giant arm. They would do that too, and then they also had giants other than the penis. It was for giant arms, nigga, giant arms, and then some arms were Raiders. So they would show the Raiders, and they should show the people that do the 5-finger fingerling. What's 5-finger fingerlift? Like that. They used to do that. They do the Raiders, so they used to show Raiders. And then I was a secret agent going to Carter, and they would show the Raiders game. So I would be there in the mission as a detective or cop or general, and Raiders where someone was going to steal. So I was preventing someone to steal. And then there was Giants for G-aunties, nigga. So, and they had G-aunties that would go. So Giants, Raiders. And then they had the Raw Otters, nigga. The Raw Otters were like people for Hillary Rodham Clinton that were otters. They were the otters, the seals, the walruses, the elephants, the lions, and the tigers. So they used to do that. They also had Voltron. Voltron crew was the guys, right? Remember? But they had Voltron crew the girls. They used to do Blue Lion. So they had Blue Lion, and then they had Red Lion, Green Lion, Yellow Lion. And then Yellow Lion was like Pikachu. Yellow Lion, like I said, versus Pikachu's like Pokemon. It's like a lot of them are my kids. And it's a battle of the angels. Like I said, right? Angels battling Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh! Angels battling. Like that. They had that, and then they had like So like Michael, they would run with the new Nike shoes, and then excuse me, I used to want to always go on a date with girls. So sometimes I would see a girl. I don't know if it's Genevieve. I go with Marcello, but there's Genevieve, my wife, and then there's Katrina, my wife. When I see her, I would go on a date with her. And the dates would just be in Vallejo. The long dates would be going to Ceremony Mall with a girl. I was like hella scared because I didn't know if she could drive and stuff like that. But the people I stuck with that drove cars were like Ricky, my dad, and then Jonathan driving now, and then Ricky, my dad, Michael Yuma, and trusting people to drive cars, PSD and High Tech, and the Godfather game type. So I know Genevieve, like when the football, you could call her Wimbledon or Katrina, like tennis racket or something like that. Tennis racket, Wimbledon, tennis balls, like fucking the whole family or Sinai or me, tennis balls. And they had graphic, the mob dude graphic. And then graphics was cool. They used to show that. So I was a forensic detective. I went to forensic detective school and I took to do forensic detective class. A lot of forensic detective class that I took when I went to solve cases, because I really went to school and was a cop. It was my dream to be a cop ever since I was a baby. Since I was one. First day I was born, I mean, I'm in the mafia, but, my dream is to be a cop, so I became a cop. They used to leave me with half a text on the cellular phone, and then they would show me the phone at Uncle Jesse's house, and that's where I would get the information to, at Uncle Jesse's house, Uncle Noel's. Half a text on the phone, one letter on the phone, and floppy disk being stolen and stuff like that. So I used to have to gather up all the stuff, like floppy disks, check all the floppy disks. They like Dream House, they like Pac-Man, they like Versace, and then single it down to the point who is that in the family. Then on the same case, like who would be gone or dead, like with Versace, like that when he passed away. I think they faked his death, but then with Versace, the king passed away. And Guess. And then they had G-Ride, for sure with G-Ride. And then they had G-Ride, which was Genevieve Ride. And they told me one day, G-Ride. They go, you got a G-Ride? And I was like, George? And I never could think it was Gary, because Gary Gorin wasn't supposed to be fine. So she goes with Gary, Mike, and Marcello, Genevieve. And like, Genevieve, hi, this is Game Tight Lanny. I think we know each other, like when you were 5, right? I babysitted you when you were 5. So they had that, probably like your like friend, right? So they had that, and they had Pepper. So Pepper was my friend Chris Piega in Solano, and they had Pepper, my cousin Jennifer Pepper. And then so they go like, I like Pepper, right? And then I'm supposed to be Pepper too. So, and Flo and G Love or Edus like that. But they had those, and then so like they got mafia names like Article, Graphic, Detox, and like Lea Salonga or Richard Gomez or Tom Cruise. And then they had Gang Green, which was the Green Bay Packers, right? So, packing a bowl, Bud, Green Bay Packers, pack a bowl, fire it up, light it up, Chief. When I was young, I was king of Luzon, Bisaya, Pampanga, and I was also king of Davao and Baguio. I'm actually in Baguio right now, like Chicago. I'm in Chicago. I don't live in San Francisco no more. I'm in Chicago, Emperor Nero's house instead of Mark Anthony's house. And this is Baguio, what they call Baguio in the Philippines. Like original Philippines was Pampanga where he was at. This is Baguio. I'm in Baguio where Manila's at. Everyone knows where Manila is at, the upstairs room. I'm there right now. So they started going, I'll go or I'll be there or that I'm there too, right? So I'm there too. Like even though that happened, I was there too, so I know the truth. And then this one time they said, I'm there too. And it's like, what do you mean by that, dude? So I would be with Genevieve and she goes, I'm there too. Gary. So Gary would be there, which is G Love. But I didn't know that if some people were using my name or I'm there too, if they introduced me to her as Gary Warren or him as Edwin Langit, but we would be kicking it with Genevieve and we were supposed to both have the same name or be the same person. So people used to be like with me, like, I don't know what the fuck, I'm supposed to be him. I mean, I guess like alibis or something like that. They had that. And then, so like I'm King Arthur, dude. And then Kate Middleton's Maid Marian, head of the Round Table. And The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Batman. And I remember when I was young, Batman gave me his utility belt and Superman gave me his cape. So I had the powers of Batman and Superman. I'm really, like as a superhero, I'm really Silver Surfer. The real Silver Surfer. The Norrin Rad is my son. But I'm the Silver Surfer, and then they gave me the utility belt and the cape and Green Lantern's ring. So I have those powers and those niggas. Like Goof Troop, Rescue Rangers, Full House, and Perfect Strangers. I used to watch those in Three's Company. I used to watch Three's Company only because Christy was in the show. That's why I watched it. I watched that. And then Price is Right. And then Family Feud. I used to watch those. They still play Family Feud on Michael's computer in Dreamhouse. I love that game, Dreamhouse. If you still have that game, Michael or Lynette, Dreamhouse is my favorite game. But he only had like the demo or something, right? And Sam, when we started writing raps on Sam or something like that, or Space Invaders. First time I played Space Invaders, Eric had it in Georgia or something, Space Invaders. And like, what's that shit called? What's that movie? What's that thing? Saber Rider. Saber Rider. I thought it was Silver Rider. Saber Rider. And then I remember when I was young, I watched the real Saber Rider. And then probably 3 or 4 months later, they started showing something else. So when I watch shows, I watch the original ones. And I guess they're live with real angels, or those are my kids. It's not the same thing. Because when I watched Back to the Future, part 1, 2, and 3, it was like a 16-hour or 30-hour movie. Then I watched it again, and they cut it down. So they cut it down to 2 hours, so it was something different. But that was something different. And I watched too, because they do everything through TV, like the coronations and fights. I was watching that, and then when I watched it again, I'm not going to say nothing, but this is something different, dude. And something malevolent or something Bolivian, man. Just lots of contractions or baby bring it to me or just give it all to me or something like that, dude.